New learning assessments suggest that the pandemic hasn't had as big of an impact on learning as many had feared. I'm Zach Dodge with the story.
Missouri Southern's looking for a new head football coach after releasing Jeff Sims.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
While the nation awaits a coronavirus vaccine, health officials are warning Americans to brace for a tough winter and urging people to stay home for the holidays. The number of confirmed cases is already approaching 14 million after surpassing 13 million over the weekend. Chris Martinez has more.
As coronavirus cases spike, CDC Director Robert Redfield is warning Americans about the winter months ahead.
I actually believe they're going to be the most difficult time in the public health history of this nation.
Redfield said the pandemic death toll in the U.S. could approach 450,000 by February. He said lives would be saved if more people wear masks and take other precautions. Around the nation, daily COVID-19 cases have continued to grow, with more than 180,000 a day. That's doubled in the last month. Federal health officials are also urging Americans to avoid holiday gatherings. The White House press secretary pushed back when asked if White House celebrations would set a good example.
If you can loot businesses, burn down buildings, engage in protest, you can also go to a Christmas party.
On Wednesday, Britain gave emergency approval to Pfizer's vaccine. Trump administration officials say vaccine shipments will start to be delivered in the U.S. by mid-December.
End of February, we will have potentially immunized 100 million people.
In California, the state reported a record number of new cases and hospitalizations Tuesday, with more than 7,500 new cases in Los Angeles County alone.
We're seeing terrifying increases in numbers in LA County.
Statewide, average new cases and deaths have jumped more than 50% in just 2 weeks. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Johns Hopkins University says so far the coronavirus has taken more than 272,000 lives across our nation. Doug Heddy joins us now with a first look at the weather. Doug.
Hey, Dow. It turned out to be kind of a gloomy day for us today with the showers increasing throughout the afternoon. But prior to the rain, we did make it up to 50 degrees, which is right about where we should be for this time of the year. Periods of rain continue to roll through, where you do see the yellows and the oranges on the radar. That is showing us moderate, even some heavy pockets of rain. But all the green, kind of just light showers, and even a little bit of a lull developing across northeastern parts of Oklahoma. That's going to fill right back in as we work through the overnight hours tonight. Then once you get farther out toward the west of Wichita, it switches over to snow, and you can't even see in northwestern Arkansas, and then south central Missouri, a little snow is starting to mix in. We're going to get a few flakes mixing in late tonight and tomorrow morning and into tomorrow morning. It's not going to be a big deal, but something we're going to keep our eyes on. Cold right now, near 40, of course. Winter forecast here in just a bit.
All right, we'll see you then. Thanks, Doug. Police say a chain of events led to a crash into a convenience store on South Main Street in Miami. An SUV hit a car. The car was pushed up and hit the store. The wall did not collapse, but the building does have obvious structural damage. No one was injured. The Otter Stop convenience store is still open for business. Some students at Pittsburgh State University get a much-needed financial boost as the university finishes distributions of CARES Act funding. Now, in the summer, PSU applied for the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund that would send schools money to use for emergency grants for students who were displaced due to the pandemic. PSU received a total of more than $2.6 million for students. The funds were distributed in 3 phases. The first phase went to Pell Grant students who automatically qualified to receive the funds. The second and third phases were distributed to students who applied for the funds and were eligible. Full-time students received $800 and part-timers received $400, with leftover funds distributed amongst all eligible students.
We tried to unilaterally share the rest of the funds equally amongst all the students.
Distributions have been completed and around 2,500 students received part of that funding. During this pandemic, a lot of schools across the country have been concerned about potential learning loss. Well, now new data suggests that students are doing better than many had expected. KOAM's Zach Dodge has more.
From shutdowns and quick shifts to remote learning in the spring, to isolations and changes to the school day in the fall, this year has been filled with disruptions for students, things that many worried would cause learning loss in schools. But it might not be as bad as many had feared.
We did find that we're about 3% lower this fall to last fall in reading, and we're about 10% lower in math.
And those numbers that Joplin is seeing are being seen nationwide. The NWEA looked at MAP testing in 3rd through 8th grade and estimates that students performed similarly to students in fall 2019 in reading and were down between 5 and 10% in math.
We analyze the data on each student, and depending on the area they need help with, maybe it's algebraic thinking, maybe it's vocabulary, we have interventions designed for each of those students.
Here in Neosho, they don't quite have the numbers they need to compare to fall of 2019 because they recently changed their assessment system. But from feedback from principals and teachers, they aren't doing bad either.
We were concerned that it would be up to 6 to 9 months of learning loss based on sometimes what happens in summer. But while there was still learning loss, it wasn't as substantial as we thought it would have been.
Neosho's getting ready to do a winter assessment so they can compare what they saw in September with what they're seeing now. Joplin is currently doing the same.
What every district in Missouri is trying to mine out of that data is how do we accelerate our students' growth, because in the end, we don't want them to have learning loss.
In Joplin and Neosho, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
We have the full report for the NWEA on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. On Monday, the Joplin City Council held a strategic planning session and came up with a list of goals for the city to reach. One of those involves improving the city's appearance. That includes public areas maintained by the city. Areas like sidewalks, curbs, right-of-ways, and city parks are all part of that goal for areas of improvement. City leaders say they developed this goal after noticing some of the city's public areas weren't quite up to the standards they'd like. However, the new contract with Parkwood Tournament LLC should help the Parks Department get back to what they need to focus on.
That's going to allow us to reallocate some of our time that we've spent on athletic facilities over to the Parks Department, simply helping us, trash pickup. And when I say trash pickup, I'm not talking about out of trash cans. It's just trash that's throughout our parks.
The goal concerning appearance also includes areas like streets, sidewalks, and curbs that are in need of improvement. A little bit later, Missouri Southern's in the market for a new head football coach. Plus, Mark Kelly, a former astronaut and husband of former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, is officially sworn in as a U.S. Senator. We'll tell you about his journey to Capitol Hill. And speaking of the U.S. Capitol building, it's looking pretty festive right now. We'll show you the tree lighting ceremony. The CDC changes its recommended quarantine time for people exposed to COVID-19. The new guidelines state that people who come into close contact with those infected with the virus should quarantine for 7 to 10 days. Now, the previous recommendation called for a 14-day quarantine. The new recommendation suggests people can end their quarantine after 7 days if they receive a negative test. If you don't get tested, they say you should wait the entire 10 days. Today, Mark Kelly completed his remarkable journey from outer space to the U.S. Senate. Natalie Brand has his story.
Democrat Mark Kelly arrived at the Capitol to begin his new mission as an Arizona senator.
I do. Congratulations, Senator.
He shared his political triumph with his wife, Gabby Giffords.
Gabby's the person who taught me about this side of public service and what it means to use public policy to improve people's lives, and who taught me to never, ever give up.
Giffords resigned from Congress after surviving an assassination attempt in 2011. Months later, Kelly retired from his NASA career, which included 4 shuttle missions to the International Space Station, and became an advocate for gun safety.
Great to see you. Great, thank you. Thank you all. Congratulations to you.
Kelly will finish Senator John McCain's final term, flipping a crucial seat in the Democrats' effort to take control of the Senate. He replaces Republican Martha McSally, who had been appointed to the seat following McCain's death. McSally said her goodbyes after the election.
I wish my successor, Mark Kelly, all the best as he represents our incredible state in this hallowed chamber.
Kelly is the fourth astronaut to be elected to Congress, now launching a very different kind of mission to serve his country. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
This election was the first time since the 1950s that Arizona has sent 2 Democrats to the Senate. With Kelly swearing in, Republicans now hold the Senate majority 52-48. The final balance will be determined by Georgia's 2 runoff races in January. Doug Hetty is up next with his winter-long forecast. And later, you can check off an item on your holiday to-do list and help out a good cause.
Of course, it's turned out to be kind of a gloomy day for us today. We had the clouds all day long, a little bit of sunshine early this morning. Clouds thickened up, some showers rolled in during the afternoon, and then picking up with bands. Periods of rain have been rolling through during the evening hours. Of course, great time lapse, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, Seneca, Missouri, showing us those showers that have been rolling through. You can see the bands which continue to lift off toward the north. Now, on the radar where you see the yellows, oranges, and reds, that shows us moderate to heavy rain. The green is mainly light rain. We're getting a little bit of a lull in northeastern parts of Oklahoma, but that's going to fill back in as we work through the overnight hours. So if we go ahead, you can zoom in here and you can even see in Berry County, see a little bit of pink and blue mixing in. That's some snow, which is starting to mix in across southwestern Missouri. And we are going to get those flakes mixing in throughout the overnight hours for us tonight. Most of the heavy snow out to the west of Wichita, out across central parts of Kansas. But you can see that upper level low right across central Oklahoma. So until that passes by, we are going to see the showers across the region. Here's 1 a.m. periods of rain continuing through the overnight hours. Look at 4 a.m. We're finally back 36, 37 degrees, and this is when we're going to get these flakes mixing in late tonight into tomorrow morning. Again, this is not a big deal, just random flakes mixing in, but they could be the big ones. It won't stick or anything like that. And then as we work through the morning hours, the rain will slowly start to taper off. And then by afternoon, it looks like we'll just kind of have cloudy skies across the area. 43 for us tomorrow. Rain tapering, 52 Friday, 56 Saturday. Sunshine returns. Actually, the weekend is going to shape up pretty good. All right, winter forecast. This is based off the Hetty pattern. So this is a pattern I found in 1999. Been working on it ever since then. A pattern sets up every year, every September, and within the pattern, there's a recurring cycle. Could be anywhere as short as 40 days, as long as 65 to 70 days. We're in a La Nina. Usually with a stronger La Nina, you have a shorter cycle like we have this year. So we're entering the third cycle. It is going to be a colder winter than last winter, but it's not going to be as active as the past couple patterns, really. Average snow is 12 inches. We average 2 to 3 ice events. We average 4 Arctic blasts. We haven't had a big snow since January 31st, 2011, the 22-inch storm. Since then, we've only had 6 inches of snow twice. All right, so let's look at the 3 main tracks. This is the track we're actually in right now, the main jet stream up near Canada. A secondary jet drops all the way across southern plains. You get these storm systems that rotate through. You just can't get a lot of cold air. So when we are in this part of the pattern, we're mainly going to get rain, but we could see snow on the backside. Very similar to what we have with this system. A little better chance for snow as we get deeper in the winter. As we go through the entire pattern, we have 3 main tracks. So here's the second main track. This is going to set up next weekend. We get a deeper jet stream. Arctic air is allowed to let loose, and we get these storm systems rotating through. So this is a much better shot to get bigger snow makers as we go through the winter. And then the other part of the pattern is mainly just kind of a dry stretch of about 10 days. We've seen that several times already through this pattern. So we're not going to have as many storm systems or many rain events or snow events, but we have a better potential to get a bigger snow out of this pattern. So here's what I'm looking at. 14 systems, 3 bigger systems. We average 12 inches. I'm going 15. I do think we'll get 2 ice events. Several Arctic blasts, temperatures a bit below average, and precip a bit below average. So again, Dow, a colder winter, but we do have that potential for bigger snows, and I think our best shot is January 25th through January 30th to get a big snow.
We might be able to use some Christmas sleds if we get them, I suppose.
Yeah, that would be nice. I would enjoy it.
Yeah, who wouldn't? Thanks, Todd.
3, 2, 1. Isn't it beautiful?
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas in D.C. The Capitol Christmas tree lit up the night sky last night with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi there to do the official countdown. This 55-foot Engelmann spruce was harvested in early November from a national forest in Colorado, and all the decorations are from there too. Thousands of them handcrafted by kids. If you're in the Christmas spirit, but that spirit isn't quite strong enough for you to wrap your own presents, well, we have someone you should meet. Her name is Tara Geyer. She lives in Nevada, Missouri, and she's willing to wrap your gifts for you. Your lack of drive to wrap could also help some people who really need some help. Tara has cystic fibrosis, and she's asking for donations for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation.
We would just greatly appreciate the community supporting us in this in any way they can. It means the world to us, and we know there's a lot of families out there that have a lot of struggles and a lot of other organizations and stuff, but if they could support ours, we would greatly appreciate it.
Geyer's gift wrapping business is located at 300 West Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. Hope you support them. Still ahead, Webb City kicks off the first night of the Carthage Invitational against Miller. We have the highlights. And Missouri Southern is moving on from its head football coach. We're going to hear from Jeff Sims about the university's decision to let him go.
Missouri Southern has announced Jeff Sims has been let go as the head coach of the football team. Sims was hired in November of 2018 and spent only one full season as the leader of the program. The Lions were 2-9 in his only season in 2019. Southern did not play this fall due to the pandemic. A linebackers coach Joe Batasso will serve as interim head coach through the spring, with a national search for a new head coach beginning soon. As for what's next for Sims following today's announcement,
in my life, I've always hit bumps and roads, but God's always has a great plan, and His plan's always been better than mine. I want to be with people that want to win. I'm proud of what I've done as a football coach, and so we'll get new opportunities, and we'll pursue that, and we'll go from there.
Now, this will be the second time Joe Batasso has served as an interim head coach for Missouri Southern. He was also interim head coach after Denver Johnson resigned in 2018. Tonight is the opening night of the girls basketball invitational at Carthage High School. Kicking things off tonight, the Webb City Cardinals hit the floor against Miller. Webb City a little shorthanded tonight in their first game of the season. First quarter, pretty easy there for Kaylee Helton. Other end, Webb City's J.D. Duda collects her own miss, finishes and the foul. Duda and Helton went back and forth in the first half. Helton here, corner three in the second. She had 17 in the first half, 22 on the night. And Duda back to work, little sidestep. She had 10 at half, 16 for the game. A third quarter, that's when Peyton Richardson takes over for Miller. Finishes in transition. Moments later, Richardson cutting to the rim off the pass from Helton. Finally, Richardson getting this one to go, plus the foul. She had 13 in the third quarter alone, 17 for the game. Miller tops Webb City tonight, 63-38. The nightcap, it's Tigers on Tigers. Tournament host Carthage facing Lamar. Kiana Yates on the break to Katie Crow. Crow had 10 tonight. It was a hot start for Carthage. Yates steals, goes the other way. Home team up 14-6, 5 minutes in. Lamar tightens that lead. Sierra White spinning and scoring. It's a 5-point game after one. But Kiana Yates, really good for Carthage tonight. A nice floater goes there. Then in transition, right by everybody. Yates had 28 tonight. Carthage takes down Lamar 59-29. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran, Sergeant Harry Byrd. The Erie, Kansas native served in the U.S. Army. And we are proud to salute Sergeant Harry Byrd. He's tonight's four-state hero. He's a doctor who's become a household name in 2020, and now Dr. Anthony Fauci is one of People magazine's People of the Year. People says it chose the nation's top infectious disease expert for providing guidance and reassurance to people during the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite his celebrity status, Fauci says he's focused on his jobs as a physician, a scientist, and a public health official. People also chose George Clooney, Regina King, and Selena Gomez for People of the Year, in part because of their roles as activists in the racial justice movement. We're going to check back in now with Doug Hetty for a final look at the weather.
All right, Dow, we're going to continue to have periods of rain for us tonight. There are going to be some flakes mixing in late tonight into tomorrow morning. Of course, not a big deal, but don't be surprised if you see a few fat flakes out there late tonight into the morning hours. We do clear out, and the weekend actually looking pretty good. Saturday, 56, mostly sunny.
It is December. A little bit of snow would be a nice way to start off this young month. Thanks, Doug. And thank you for joining us. We're going to leave you tonight with a look at some Christmas lights around Fort Scott, Kansas. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. In the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and each other.